It's a warm, sticky afternoon in April 1998. The Kali River, flowing between the western border of the Indian and Nepalese territories, carves a winding path with its surface shimmering under the hazy sun. The water looks calm, almost lazy, masking the restless currents churning just beneath. 17-year-old Dil Bahadur stands at the riverbank, waiting for his ferry with his girlfriend. The couple plans to cross into Indian territory and start a new life together. Cross-border passages from Nepal into India are common here, as this stretch of the river is relatively easy to navigate. The heat clings to his skin, and the rhythmic sloshing of water tempts him. He can't resist. Just a quick swim. He flashes a smile at his girlfriend before wading into the river. The water, cool and silken, wraps around him as he lets himself drift with the current, carrying him gently away from the shore. For a moment, it's perfect, weightless, effortless, smooth swim, with the sunlight splitting into golden beams through the water. Then, something shifts. A sharp jolt moves through his leg. A quick, stinging snap, like stepping on something alive. Then it moves, grinding, twisting against his skin. His breath catches. His heart slams against his ribs. Before he can react, the grip tightens, then yanks. His body jerks violently as if hooked by some unseen force, and that's when it hits him. He's being dragged under. Pain explodes through his legs and panic floods his veins. His lungs burn as he thrashes, kicks, and screams for help. His girlfriend sees him struggling and shouts desperately, drawing a crowd. But no one can do anything. Within minutes, Dil Bahadur vanishes beneath the surface, never to be found again. What took him? Was it the currents? Something else? Maybe something alive? People were left wondering for years until they finally uncovered the horrifying truth. Armed with rows of jagged, razor-sharp teeth and an unnerving, monstrous presence, this underwater killer terrorized villages in the Indian subcontinent for nearly a decade. Called the Devil, this giant creature could grow as tall as the tallest men and weighed twice as much, killing, ripping, and tearing its victims apart with merciless ease, leaving nothing but fear and horror in its wake. Meet the monster fish with a taste of human flesh, the Goonch. If we look at the history of man-eaters gone wrong, the Kali River Goonch attacks stands as some of the most terrifying incidents known today. After Dil Bahadur was killed, authorities searched for his remains across a 3-mile or 5-kilometer stretch, but nothing was ever found. While the question of who or what was behind the attack still lingered, 3 months later the killer revealed itself once more, striking in an eerily similar fashion. A young boy from another village along the Kali River was standing in shallow water, barely knee-deep, washing up. His father was nearby when, out of nowhere, the boy let out a blood-curdling scream, yanked under by an unseen force. His father lunged forward, but by the time he reached, his son had vanished, claimed by the killer fish. Once again, not a single trace of the boy or his body was ever recovered. Not only that, even after months of investigation, experts still couldn't say with certainty what was responsible for the attacks. But one thing was certain: the fear had already set in. The villages along the river were gripped by terror, haunted by the creature and its unfathomable strength. Some called it a curse. Others whispered about a demon lurking beneath the waters. Theories ranged from crocodiles to sharks to something even more elusive. But the search for the killer Goonch stretched on for an entire decade, filled with shocking twists and revelations. What's even more disturbing is why the Goonch turned into a man-eater in the first place. We'll get to that later. But first, let's give these unsettling creatures a proper introduction. Bagarius yareli, better known as the Goonch Catfish, giant devil catfish, or simply Goonch, is one of the largest freshwater predators lurking in the rivers of the Indian subcontinent. Thriving in the vast river systems of South Asia, this beast dominates the waters of the Ganges-Brahmaputra-Meghna, or GBM basin, which spans India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. This enormous network of rivers, fed by the mighty Himalayan runoff, offers a diverse range of freshwater habitats, with its high water flow and rugged topography creating the perfect hunting grounds for a predator like the Goonch to grow to monstrous proportions. Under normal conditions, a Goonch can reach up to 6.7 feet in length and weigh between 110 and 130 pounds. But practically, these numbers can be much higher. In 2017, a Bangladeshi news outlet published photos of a staggering 308-pound Goonch, reportedly caught by local fishermen for food. While it's easy to assume that such a heavy, bulky fish would struggle in strong, raging currents, the reality is quite the opposite. The goonch is built for these waters. With a long, muscular body wrapped in smooth, scaleless skin, it slices through the water like a torpedo, using raw power to surge through rapids, ambush prey, and snap its jaws shut in an instant. Like other predatory fish, they can also act uninterested, lying still and motionless until their prey gets too close to escape. This tactic is especially useful in environments where there's no proper hiding spot to launch a traditional ambush attack. This goonch is sitting on the floor of a tank filled with other fish, staying perfectly still. It lures in an unsuspecting catfish. Then, in a snap of a second, it surges forward and swallows it whole in one swift bite. This brutal dominance is one of the biggest challenges in keeping goonch fish in captivity. These giants outgrow their pond mates at an alarming rate, and their aggressive nature makes it nearly impossible to keep other fish safe. Most pond owners have no choice but to house them separately in massive tanks, always keeping a safe distance when handling them. But even before that, catching a goonch is a battle in itself. Their sheer size and raw power makes them incredibly difficult to wrestle onto the surface in shallow waters. In deeper currents, if an angler manages to hook one, these resourceful creatures dive straight to the riverbed, wedging themselves between rocks and anchoring their bodies in place. Once they achieve this locking state, no amount of rod and line straining can dislodge them. Apart from all of that, its unsettling, almost alien-like appearance alone is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. With an enormous, flattened head and a wide mouth lined with backward-facing razor-sharp teeth, the goonch delivers a brutal bite designed to trap and force its prey straight down its throat. Once these powerful jaws clamp down, even creatures several times its size have no chance of escape. Like other catfish, the goonch has long, whisker-like barbels extending from its mouth and nose. These projections can help it navigate murky waters, detect food, and even sense potential threats. Not only that, these barbels are covered in taste buds, meaning the goonch can taste its prey before it even makes a kill. Its muddy, almost indistinguishable coloration allows it to blend perfectly into the dirt-filled waters, making it nearly invisible. Most of the time, its victims don't even see it coming until the strike is too close to avoid. When hunting, a goonch will eat just about anything that fits its appetite. Smaller ones go after fish, amphibians, and crustaceans, but as they grow, so does their menu palette, and they eventually start taking down prey way larger than themselves. Once the prey is close enough, they use a powerful suction force, similar to that of a whale, to pull their victims into their crushing jaws before dragging them straight to the riverbed. This is exactly why the remains of the victims of the infamous Kali River goonch attacks were never found. After 2 brutal killings in just 3 months, fear spread through the villages, and locals began avoiding that stretch of river, putting a temporary halt to the attacks. But every now and then, the predator would strike again, targeting livestock that wandered too close to the water's edge. In one chilling case, an entire buffalo was yanked beneath the water's surface, vanishing without a trace. Then, 9 years after the first recorded attack, the goonch returned. In 2007, an 18-year-old Nepalese boy was dragged underwater in the same horrifying fashion. This time, the witnesses did see the killer, but their description only made things more confusing. They claimed the attacker was a mud-colored water pig. Capybaras are sometimes called water pigs, but since they're harmless herbivores, there was no way a capybara could have been responsible. However, the description did provide a critical lead. The creature might have been something with a similar structure, only far more dangerous. And that's when British biologist and river monsters host Jeremy Wade stepped in to investigate and, if possible, capture the man-eating creature. Jeremy noted that all reported attacks had occurred within a specific 4-mile stretch of river. Given the waters where the victims were dragged under weren't particularly deep, his first suspicion was a crocodile, especially since the attack's patterns were strikingly similar to known crocodile killings. There were 3 possible crocodile species in the area. The first was the saltwater crocodile, but since they weren't known to travel this far inland, they were ruled out naturally. This left gharials and mugger crocodiles. However, gharials couldn't hunt humans or buffalo due to their narrow snouts, and muggers wouldn't be able to survive in the cold Himalayan currents of the Kali River. So with crocodiles out of the picture, the next suspect was a shark. At first, they thought it could be a bull shark or something of similar size and aggression. But after interviewing witnesses and scouring the waters, they found no evidence. No dorsal fins breaking the surface, no confirmed sightings. And again, given just how far inland the attacks happened, the chances of a shark being the culprit were slim to none. And just like that, the team was back to square one. Then, out of nowhere, they spotted a 3-foot-3-inch goonch. Jeremy attempted to capture it, but failed. However, when they started looking into them as potential culprits, they discovered entire groups of goonch, with some of them large enough to easily pull a man under. And with that came the most chilling revelation. Jeremy was initially not convinced that a goonch was the killer because he believed it wouldn't just turn into a man-eater randomly. But then, villagers told Jeremy's team that the Goonch population in the Kali River may have developed a taste for human flesh. Their reasoning was a deeply ingrained Hindu funeral practice where bodies are cremated and their ashes, sometimes even partially burned remains, are scattered into the river, particularly within the Ganges basin. And since the Kali River eventually merges with these sacred waters, the ritual was common here as well. With the river filled with human remains for generations, locals believe the Goonch may have been feeding on them for so long that they may have acquired a preference for human flesh. Even more disturbing, these monstrous fish were often spotted lingering near designated funeral sites, as if waiting. Jeremy decided to put this theory to the test by setting up a funeral pyre to lure one in. To his surprise, he captured a record-breaking Goonch, 161 pounds and 6 feet 7 inches long. Jeremy concluded his mission there, but he made a point that the specimen he caught wasn't nearly big enough to kill a cow or an adult man. This meant that there could even still be larger individuals out there, possibly reaching anywhere from 800 to 2,000 pounds, lurking in the depths of the Kali River with a taste for human flesh. Despite this infamous reputation, the Goonch remains one of the most elusive catfish species in the world. Because of this, little is known about its life cycle and behavior. Experts believe that, like most catfish, female Goonch lay eggs during the rainy seasons between June and September. The males then fertilize and guard them until they hatch. They reach sexual maturity between 4 to 6 years of age and can live up to 20 years in their natural habitat. Although there's no precise count of their population, experts classify them as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, with human activities like dam construction and relentless overfishing pushing them further into uncertainty. Speaking of fishing, remember those Bangladeshi anglers who claimed to have hauled in a 308-pound Goonch back in 2017? The story made headlines, but experts didn't recognize it as an official record. As of now, the largest officially accepted Goonch remains the one caught by Jeremy Wade, and while there have been reports of much bigger specimens, their authenticity remains up for debate. So, what do you think? Could an absolute monster weighing anywhere from 800 to 2,000 pounds really be prowling the depths of India's rivers, just as Jeremy speculated? Or is it all just an exaggerated legend? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.